So our next session is one of our coding room's power users. Weronika is gonna be our next session. I'm gonna spotlight you now. Weronika, there we go, perfect. And thank you for starting to share the slides. And this session is about surviving your first year teaching AP Computer Science A. Last year was Weronika's first year teaching AP CSA, and coding rooms I heard was a savior. So this will be a really great session to kind of walk you through some of that and the tips Weronika has. So I'll pass it off to you.
Hi, everybody. You guys can all see my Google presentation, right? And hear me fine? Yes.
Yeah, everything looks good.
Perfect. Hi, like Joe said, my name is Weronika Trzaska. I am a math and AP Computer Science A and Computer Science P teacher at Amos Alonzo Stagg High School, which is located in the south suburbs of Chicago. Like Joe said, I just finished my first year of teaching ever. And that first year contained me teaching not only math, but AP CSA and CSP. Now, to give you a little background, and maybe some of you are in the same situation, whether you're going into your first year of teaching or first year of teaching CS, I initially, when I was graduating undergrad, was set to become a high school math teacher. And I would never have seen myself teaching CS, never. If you would have told me 4 years ago I would be teaching CS, I would have thought you're crazy for saying that. But you never know what's going to happen. When I was ending my student teaching last year, the position at the school that I currently teach at, I student taught there. There was a position open for CS, or it was math, but you needed a CS endorsement. And I looked at all the different possibilities of me staying at that school, teaching math, teaching CS. And basically what it ended up being is I took a Java class last summer, and I basically taught myself Java to prepare to teach AP CSA and AP CSP for the school year. Now, I can't tell you enough how stressful it was going in, not only as a first year teacher, but also a teacher who's never had much CS experience before. In my undergrad, I only took a C# class. I thought it was cool, but teaching Java was something that was extremely new for me. So based off of the people that I've met at CSTA and last year at my AP Summer Institute, I knew that I wasn't the only one. I know that there are many people out there, maybe you are one of them, that is going into teaching CS and you don't have a background at all. This is your first time and you are very, very nervous. But I'm here to tell you that you can make it through the year, because I didn't think I could, and I was able to. And there's many resources out there, coding rooms and CSAwesome being one of them, that will help you get through your first year of teaching CS. So if you are nervous for the school year, it's going to be okay. And I'm here today to show you some of the things that helped me throughout the year that really let me survive the year. So I put my contact information here too. I'm on Twitter and Instagram if you prefer those modes, or my email if you're interested in connecting. I always love talking with CS teachers because I am the only CS teacher at my school. In my district, there are 2 other CS teachers because we have 2 other high schools, but I'm the only CS teacher at my school. So I always love connecting with other CS teachers, whether it be in Illinois or around the nation or around the world. If you are interested, there's my contact info. But just some general resources that I use for AP CSA, and that's what I'm going to mostly be talking about today, because for CSA, I use CSAwesome in coding rooms. For CSP at my school, we use code.org. But to highlight AP CSA, the things that I found helpful, obviously the CSAwesome coding rooms combination. When I first started at the start of the school year with CSAwesome, it was kind of split. There was no combination of CSAwesome and coding rooms just yet. I was using the CSAwesome textbook as a resource and basically the curriculum. And if you've never seen CSAwesome before, it is a textbook, and I hope my screen popped up to the CSAwesome page, but it's basically an online interactive ebook. And actually last summer when I was learning Java myself, I found it very helpful to go through the textbook myself. And what's great is that there are interactive problems. There's some coding problems, there's multiple choice and everything. So this is a great ebook for those of you who are trying to learn Java yourself. Now, like I said, before I was using the combination, because it wasn't available just yet, I was using that and I was using Coding Rooms. My district paid for the premium version, but the free version is just as great as well. But towards the end of the first semester, Coding Rooms was coming out with a new type of version, and I decided to beta test, and it was the best decision ever. So I was able to use the version that Coding Rooms has now for my second semester. So I was on like unit 6 of the AP CSA curriculum at the time. So using the combination of CSAwesome and Coding Rooms really helped me out. With that new version that Coding Rooms came out, you were able to integrate CSAwesome as a whole course in Coding Rooms, which made it even more awesome because my students didn't have to go to do 2 different pages. They can access everything all in one place on Coding Rooms. And I'll show you some of the cool features on Coding Rooms that you can use that will help you in your classroom. Another thing that helped me a lot, like I said, I don't have a very intense coding background or programming background. So what's cool is Coding Rooms, just like today with this professional development, they had a Learn Java series and a variety of professional development sessions. So that really helped me throughout the year because I was learning as I was teaching as well. A big savior, especially if you are teaching AP, is AP Classroom. That's getting your students ready for the AP test. You have access to multiple choice questions there, FRQ questions in there. And I'm sure some of you who have never taught AP before, the free response questions are the most scary questions because they're more intense. You have to write out the code. But in AP Classroom, they give you the rubric, they give you possible solutions. So you have access to all of that in the AP Classroom. You do have to audit the course if you haven't already, which leads me to my next point is AP Summer Institutes. If it's possible, I don't know if there still are any summer institutes available before the start of the school year, but I attended one for AP CSA and AP CSP. And at those summer institutes, I learned about not only the course, but I learned more about the exam because I had never taken AP CSA in high school, never took AP CSP in high school. So I had no idea what the exam entailed and what was in it. So those were really helpful for me. So if you are brand new to teaching AP CSA or AP CSP, look into attending an AP Summer Institute. They're either in person or virtual. And like I said, they go through the exam, they go through the course and a bunch of helpful resources. And then 2 other resources that helped me throughout the school year were the Facebook groups. If you just type in, if you use Facebook, AP CSA teacher group or AP CSP teacher group, there should be Facebook groups to join. And it's just helpful to, like I said, build a community, have somewhere to go to ask questions. And everybody on there has helped me out. So if you're a part of those Facebook groups and you help me throughout the year, thank you in advance. But those Facebook groups really help you out in answering any questions you might have about the exam or the class. And also there is a Teaching CSAwesome Google group. I have it on this tab here, where if you are using CSAwesome and Coding Rooms, you could ask questions about the curriculum or the textbook or any questions that you have at the Google group. And it's really helpful to get your questions answered. 1 second. So specifically about CSAwesome and the Coding Rooms combo, some of the highlights and my favorite features that I love, the first thing is the auto grader. So being this my first year and I didn't really know exactly, I wasn't really comfortable with creating my own problems yet or grading them myself. What's really helpful is Coding Rooms has a auto grader built in for the CSAwesome problems, just like it's built in the CSAwesome textbook. Like I said, it's just in the Coding Rooms platform now too. Another thing that was very helpful, especially last year when I was student teaching, it would have been awesome if I needed to, but they have a live classroom feature. So actually we were in person this past year. When we're in the classroom, I put up a live classroom. So my students are following along on the same page as I am when I'm teaching in live time. And then they always, or I can see what they're doing on their screens. If I see like where my students are, I can see if they're on the same page as me or if they're not. So the live classroom feature is really awesome. And if you are remote, or I host evening review sessions for my students once a week, like after school. It's always easy to just hop on the live classroom and I can see their screen, they can see mine. Another thing that I absolutely love too, I love group work and I love pair work. And in coding rooms, I was able to do that. I was able to assign students into pairs or groups. And there's actually a session on that later if you were interested in how you can assign groups in coding rooms. But I found that to be very helpful because it's kind of like Google Docs where you're able to work on the same documents, but in different locations, obviously. So when students were going home and working on an assignment, they could still work on it together in lifetime. Obviously, I love the interactive problems, just like in CSAwesome, but now in the coding rooms platform, there's multiple choice questions, drag and drop, writing code, so many different fill in the blank, so many different options for problems within coding rooms. And what I absolutely love as well is the fact that I can modify and create pages. So if there's was something that I didn't particularly like in the CSAwesome, like the questions, or if there was a section I wanted to reword, I can always modify the page. I could add something in, I could delete something, I could add more questions in, and I'll kind of show you how I did that in some of the pages that I have in the examples on coding rooms. So like I said, those are some highlights, and now I wanted to show you guys actual examples in coding rooms. So if you aren't already in the PD day coding rooms, I think I pressed publish all, so it should be showing up.
It's published on my side, so
Okay,
give your page a refresh.
that might be it. So if you can join me at the warm-up page example, I included a couple pages. There we go. I included a couple pages to show you examples of how I use the pages in my classroom. So you guys can see the teacher side of things right here. I have all the learners. So if you see your name, you are a learner in the classroom. But I'll just take that away. This is Siri. Oops, sorry, my Apple Watch. One thing I love doing is a bell ringer. I'm sure a lot of you do bell ringers in class, but I kind of make a warm-up page example depending on the day if I have enough time. I wish I had longer class periods. I have about 45 minutes for a class period, but it's always nice to have a bell ringer. But like I said, you can modify and create pages in coding rooms, which is nice. So I kind of just pulled questions from maybe like the extra multiple choice questions in CSAwesome. I put it together on one page, and I am able to say, welcome back, or please complete this warm up. I can type anything. I can add anything. Like I said, I can use it or add in a coding rooms IDE, and I use Java, multiple choice, poll, short answer, drag and drop. I can insert anything that I basically would like. But as you're going through the page, you should be able to do, these are all multiple choice, but at the bottom here, for example, I like to put like a free response. What questions do you still have about objects? Or here, if they wanted to select what questions we would like to review. Once we're going into the lesson, or if they have time to just do independent work, I like to go through these really quickly to get that feedback from them to see what I need to go back and review. But as you guys are going through this, if you are going through it, what's nice is I can go and see what my students each answered, and I could also comment on their work as well, which was really great when it came time to grading. It really saved me a lot of time, and it was really easy to just fly through each of my students. And if you have the auto grader in too, it'll show up green if they got it, or red if they did not get it, or orange if they did submit like a written response and I need to manually grade it. An example of what a notes page would look like, this is directly from CSAwesome. These are from Unit 9, and I just picked random pages to insert. I didn't change much from the actual CSAwesome templates. Sometimes like I said, I'll add something in if it's like an extra question or a fill in the blank, but this is kind of an example of what the notes page looks like. So if you go to the actual CSAwesome site and you go to Unit 9 and you go to like it says here, day 1, it looks the exact same, but it's just in coding rooms, which is, like I said, great because you don't have to flip back and forth between the CSAwesome page or coding rooms. You have it all in one place, and it's set up the same. It has the same questions. Like I said, it's already imported what the right answer is, what the wrong answer is. Here you have the IDE embedded into the textbook, and it already has the tests in there, so it'll auto grade, which is nice. This is also just another example, a second example of a notes page. And like I said, during class, I go to live classroom and we're all following along as a whole class and going through the problems, going through the examples and the notes. But it's really helpful because they have it all in one place. That's the big key thing. And I asked my students after we switched to the beta version or this new version of coding rooms, they said they really enjoyed it because they didn't have to go through many different hoops or loops to get all what they needed for the class. It was all in one place. Kind of how I structure my class is if you use CSAwesome before or you're getting started with using CSAwesome, there are some programming challenges at the end of each section. And I actually use that as my lab. So if you click on the individual lab example, this is an example of 9.1 lab. Again, this was at the bottom of the 9.1 notes page, and I just use it as a lab. This one I made as an individual assignment. So each student had to do it on their own. But this wasn't in here before. The 4 points, the 2 points here, I added those in, which is nice. I could always type whatever I want. I could link anything I want. I could, if I wanted to add in another IDE or multiple choice problem, whatever it is, whatever it may be, I can add that in. And that's cool because you don't have that in just the CSAwesome page. You just have to use what's in the textbook. So I kind of modify it to my class, however I may like. So this is like an example of a programming challenge. And again, if you get to these programming challenges in CSAwesome, say you are not comfortable with doing an inheritance programming challenge, but you want to assign it to your students, join that Teaching CSAwesome Google group because you have access to the solutions. And if there's something that you have a question on, you are always more than welcome to send an email and someone will answer your question. Everybody is, I don't even know how many people are in the Google group. There's probably 1,000 people in there. Someone will answer your question within the day. So you have access to those solutions and lesson plans and everything in that Teaching CSAwesome Google group. This is an example of a partner lab that I did. So again, it was just in section 8, must have been or unit 8, section 1. And this was a lab and it was just at the bottom. But this one I did as a group or pair assignment. And I inserted a picture, which you can do on coding rooms pages, which is cool, of how it looks on the teacher's end. And like I said, there's a session later on about assigning group work in coding rooms, but this is how it would look like. And I have my students in pairs that I've assigned them. And it's just assigning the pairs also cuts down the amount of grading that you have to do. But for this one, because it was auto graded, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to put in any tests. It was automatically auto graded. It shows up that my students, they were able to do it. And those green check marks, I went in and I checked it. And I gave them some comments too. I can give them that feedback, which is awesome. And like I said, if you scroll down here, I added this in. This was not in CSAwesome, but here I have just the programming assignment as well. Something that I also like to in coding rooms when I do assign assignments is you can leave comments for your students as well in the IDE. That was a feature that was added on, but that's really helpful. Just like in Google Docs, when you leave comments maybe on a page, it's just really helpful for the students to see maybe specifically if they initialize something wrong or if they miss like a semicolon, you can point that out for them and give them feedback on that. But this I didn't have to create. That's the great thing. I didn't have to take the time to make this whole page. I just used the CSAwesome template in coding rooms. It was all there for me. And this last example here is a custom created page. So I made this from scratch. This is what I used for my culminating experience. So the end of semester project for my students. But as you can see here, I can use different highlight colors. I can embed things, which is nice. Kids can go to the pages. But here it's easy because they can access everything in one place. And I can't stress that enough, because I had a couple students at the start of the year when we were signing up for a variety of things, CSAwesome, coding rooms, Canvas. It does get to be a lot for the students. So they really appreciate having it all in one space. So I didn't, second semester when it came time to using the new version of coding rooms with the CSAwesome template, I was barely even using Canvas anymore because with the gradebook too, you have access to all of that in coding rooms, which is nice. It's all in one place. The students really enjoy it. And it is just very simple and easy to use. So I know I only showed a couple of notes and pages, but I didn't want to import the whole CSAwesome template because that would be so many pages right here on the side. But once you have, or if you have a coding rooms account and you just pick the CSAwesome template, you will get all the pages that are in the CSAwesome textbook. So all of these here, all these problems, they're just going to be all in coding rooms, which is nice. And like I said, you can edit it to how you want. You can make your pages graded, you can make them not graded. But what's nice is I can give them that feedback. They have access to it all in one place. I can use the gradebook. And it's just a really awesome resource. And like I said, if you are someone who doesn't have programming experience, or this is your first time going through Java and you are scared and nervous, I would highly, highly recommend going through the CSAwesome book yourself before teaching it, because you can go through the examples yourself. You can go through the programming challenges yourself and you can get that feedback right away. And then you can go ahead and then use it for your students like I did. So that's just a little preview of coding rooms and CSAwesome.
Thank you so much, Veronica. We do have some questions, and if you're
Sure.
willing to continue to share your screen, I have
Yes.
some people want you to demo a couple things for
Sure.
them. The first question I think I'll bring up, because I think it would be a shorter one, is someone asked, Randy asked, are you using another IDE in addition to the coding rooms IDE, or do students do all their coding in coding rooms?
So all my students do just use the IDE that is in coding rooms. Some students, when it came time to their, like I was saying, the final project, they used I call it the OG coding rooms, where it was just like the IDE page, the classic version of coding rooms. But I created like a page and just embedded like the coding rooms IDE. So and as you can see, you have different languages here, but I use Java. So I always just embedded the IDE and my students all just code there. And it's nice because I have access to it. I can see it. The original version of coding rooms, if my students who wanted to use that, they kind of use that for their own kind of projects and just to play around. They would have to share the link for that for me, or they used to. So I just embed the IDE and pages in our coding rooms classroom, and I have access to it. So they do all their coding in this IDE when I have it in coding rooms.
Excellent. Yeah, and that would be my recommendation to everyone, is that even in coding rooms, Veronica, if you could click the menu, the IDE menu, we support other IDEs like Visual Studio Code. You can see BlueJ IDE there. So there are a number of different options you can use right in coding rooms, and you can watch students code in real time, check on their work with just a single click. So those are some of the benefits and the reasons why people use that. Can you do GUI? Someone just wrote in, yes, you can. So the coding rooms IDE features the desktop. You can click on it. You can see the Linux desktop where the student's code runs, so that you can check out their GUI windows, stuff like that. You can run web servers. You can do pretty much everything you'd expect to normally do in your computer lab, they can do it on coding rooms. And again, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is giving you the ability to access IDs, and we're going to continue to expand in the next year, giving you IDs that you're comfortable with and want to work with, and not just the coding rooms ID. We're looking to keep the coding rooms ID as simple and easy to use as possible, but giving you the power of things like Visual Studio Code and other IDs right in the web browser. At this time, we don't have anything to import Google Colab code like directly, but you should be able to bring those kind of things over. Veronika, one of the requests we had earlier, this is what I was hoping, and then we can go through some of the other questions, is some people were just asking, how do you get started with this, the CSAwesome? So if you could go to your dashboard and just kind of create a new course, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So here I have a bunch throughout the year too, coding rooms, when it comes time to the CSAwesome template, if CSAwesome has changes, they update their template. So this is why you see so many of the CSAwesome templates in here, because they were still working on the different units because it was fairly new. But here on your dashboard, you can make a new course. And here you have an empty template if you wanted to just make it however, just from a blank slate. But here you have different templates that you can use. I've used this AP CSA exercises just if I was looking for some more questions. And you can, what's nice about coding rooms too, is you can copy your pages to different classes too. So if I wanted an AP CSA exercise question, I could copy it to my CSAwesome course. But as you can see here, this is the CSAwesome template. If I wanted to use this template, I'm just going to call it here. I'm creating a course. I can modify the description. I can change this to my last name, period, or I just have all my students. I have 2 periods of AP CSA. I just have them join the same course, but I can modify the sections. But I can make it a public course, or I could publish all content. I don't pick to publish all content because I just choose to publish content as I go throughout the course, because I don't want my students having access to all the pages at once, just unit by unit or page by page. But here you invite learners, just like you were all joining this PD course page. You can invite learners by using the join code. You can add the sections in your course. So like I said, I have 2 different periods. Here's where you assign group sets. And like I said, there is a session on grouping in coding rooms later on, but this is where you would have the different group sets. And here you have different admins or TAs that you wanted to add for your course. But as you can see here on the left-hand side, look, I just pressed one button. Everything from CSAwesome is already there. I didn't have to do anything but click a button, and it imports everything from CSAwesome. And it has all the pages and all the questions.
And Veronika, can you just show how easy it is to, especially because you don't care about this example, just delete and edit and add?
Yep. So here, I don't want this right here, just delete. I want to add my own thing. I just type. If I want to highlight, make it a heading, I could just modify it however I want. Change the colors, highlights, anything that I would like to do, you could just edit. You can embed things. You could, like I did earlier, if I wanted to upload a picture, you could upload a file. You could put a tip notice if you want it. You could delete and edit however you would like, which is awesome, because obviously you can't do that in just the CSAwesome textbook because it's a textbook. But here you could modify it however you would like, and you could add due dates. You could add it's called policies, where if you want it like a hard deadline, students won't have access to it or be able to submit. You can add point values if you don't want it to be graded at all. Like I said, you can mark it as ungraded, add descriptions, but you have everything already available for you, and you could just modify it to however you would like, which is awesome.
So, and then just, can you show, Veronika, some people had some questions about copying content. And so you can copy entire pages into other courses. So let's say you want to use your own course as a base and you want some resources from CSAwesome or some resources from, you know, one of our webinars or something like that. It's very easy to do. As Veronika just showed you, you can click the 3 dots at the end of the page, and you can go down and duplicate will create a copy in your course, but you can click copy to, which will copy it over to another one of your courses.
Yeah, and see, I have a bunch of courses because I've used it throughout the year, but if I wanted to import it into my specific class, I could specify what module. So this is already saying unit 2, but if I wanted to, modules are like the separate like folders. Whatever one I wanted to import it to, it'll make a copy and automatically put it in there. So when I go to my course, I'll have that copy there. So that's what I was saying earlier. I've used the AP CSA exercises because there's a bunch of good problems in there. If I wanted to import it into my course right here, I just go to AP CSA exercises, I do that copy to, and I copy it to my course. And then if I wanted to duplicate the page in the same course, I just press duplicate. Or I could also delete the page if I didn't want the page as well.
We had another question about notes. This may not be specifically for you, Veronica, but we had a question about taking notes. And what I would recommend is that you use it's not free response. It's not open response either. Short answer block. Where you can have students type notes and then you can see them typing those notes just like a Google Doc in real time. Maybe click on the plus sign, Veronica, and you can add one of those blocks.
I had it on my other page, but
Short
fill in the blank. Or sorry, this is fill in the blank. Oops.
And so then they would have an open spot where they could write some notes and you can check that kind of thing out. We don't have anything yet where they can build their own pages like the students, but it is something that we've thought about a couple times. We also had some people praise you, Veronica, for your amazing understanding and knowledge with all this, and being only your first year. You just finished your first year teaching.
Thank you. And the thing is too with coding rooms and CSAwesome, why I felt so comfortable using this platform, my district just bought it last year too. So a little backstory that I didn't include earlier is the CS teacher before at my school, he is still at our school. He's just teaching business. So I had him as a mentor, but he was using Replit before and he never used coding rooms. So I was using it for the first time. Nobody had experience at my school or district. So what was very helpful is Joe helped me out. I sent emails to Joe all the time, to coding rooms in general. If there was ever an issue, during live time, something wasn't loading or anything, they got back to me as soon as possible. So that was also very helpful as well.
Excellent. We did have a question about the coding rooms ID, if it has a debugger. Coding rooms ID, our default ID that we created does not have a debugger. However, you can use the debugger in the setup like Visual Studio Code. So if you're interested in having that kind of power with the IntelliSense autocomplete type of things, having a full debugger, being able to use extensions, we always recommend to use Visual Studio Code as the ID embedded on coding rooms. Works the same, still embedded on the page, accessible on Chromebooks, iPads, any device with a web browser where you access coding rooms. Someone mentioned Jupyter Notebook, and that is another IDE option that we have. And so you can create a Jupyter Notebook examples right on coding rooms embedded on the page. A couple people have also asked about the recordings, and all of these will be recorded each session. We'll splice it up into the individual sessions, and we'll be uploading those to YouTube over the next day or so. And then everybody that registered, we're going to be sending out their recording links. So everybody that registered gets those kind of direct links. So it's easy for you to review these sessions, watch them over, and things like that. A lot of questions about the free versus the paid, and the CSAwesome template updating. This week, we will be updating the CSAwesome template. If you're familiar with CSAwesome template and you know that some of the pages like the pre-tests and a couple of the other larger assessments were missing, those will be updated this week, and it will include all of those pieces. It will be in the newest template. We don't have a tool yet to update the template. So you can freely copy the kind of content back and forth from your kind of edits. And contact me if you need some help with that, and we'll help you out. Some differences between the free and the paid version. All the content editing that you saw today, be able to delete things and modify the CSAwesome template, you can do. In the paid version, the gradebook, where Weronika just clicked on, is only in the paid version. Being able to use the presentation mode is in the paid version. Our grid view is in the paid version, as well as some of the different blocks you can add to the page are in the paid version, like Parsons problems and some other things. However, if using those type of blocks and using some of those things in CSAwesome is still available for free on the pages, and using any of our templates, even if it has paid blocks, is still available even at the free version. You just won't be able to create some of your own. If you have questions about the how much paid costs and stuff, please contact our sales team, and they'd be happy to assist you and write you an individual quote. They look at the number of students, teachers, a number of factors to kind of create a quote there. A couple of people asked about the classic version of Coding Rooms also, and importing the content. That is also something we're looking to have released this week. You will be able to, with a single click, import all your data, even if you want this previous submissions and your students and stuff like that, over into the new version. All right, I'm going to look through, I'll try to answer some more questions. We have about 5 minutes before the next session. This was, we went, and we were doing some questions and stuff like that during what was defined as our break. Kind of knew we might need that time early in the morning. That's kind of why we built it in. But if you need 5 minutes to go do something else or anything like that, feel free. Weronika does have her information here. Also, Weronika, I don't know if you have any thing final you want to say, because we kind of did cut off your presentation. And then as soon as Veronika's done here, I'll answer more questions over here in the chat.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like I said, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions on Twitter, Instagram, or by email. I'm more than happy to help in any way I can. If you are interested in seeing more pages or anything about Coding Room, CSAwesome, or questions about your first year or any of the resources, just send me an email, send me a DM or anything. My contact info is here. More than happy to help. And thank you all for being here. You guys are all awesome, taking time out of your summer. I know how that is now being a teacher after a first year. Definitely deserve having a summer. And you guys are all taking the time today to learn more for your students. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for inviting me. And it was a pleasure being able to tell you guys all about the greatness of Coding Rooms and CSAwesome.